Hey there, friend. Welcome to the Having a Mom Moment podcast. I am your host, Shannon Warner. This podcast is all about taking a few moments for yourself and reconnecting to the amazing woman behind the title of mom. You have so many plates spinning at any given time between your kids, your partner, your job, maintaining a household, etc., etc. But where does taking time just for you play into that? Let's spend some time together, you and me, right now. We're rebranding a mom moment to those sacred moments you take to fill your cup first. Let's connect, tune in, and tap into what makes us the incredible women that we are. We'll nurture ourselves first so we can be our best selves for those we pour into on a daily basis. We'll also bask in the beautiful wisdom of other moms to learn about the ways in which they've tapped into alignment in their own motherhood journeys. Come on, mama, it's your time. We're having a mom moment. Hello, my friends. Welcome to this week's episode of the Having a Mom Moment podcast. I am your host, Shannon Warner, and I am so grateful that you took your precious time to join us here today. This week's conversation feels like grabbing coffee with a girlfriend, and I just love it so much. Our guest is Jenny Cheifetz. She is a life coach and breathwork facilitator at Jentle Coaching. She works with women and athletes who desire to feel more calm, confident, aligned, and compassionate toward themselves. In addition to coaching, Jenny leads a community of sports-loving women on Facebook, and she is the host of the Sideline Sisters podcast that showcases the impact sports has on people around the world and highlights the camaraderie among women bonding over their mutual love of this pastime. I think you're going to find a lot of what Jenny shares in this conversation so relatable. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hi, Jenny. Thank you for joining me on the podcast today.
So good to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
I'd love to. My name is Jenny Cheifetz, and I am a mom. I'm a wife. I have dogs. I'm also a life coach and breathwork facilitator, and I am launching a podcast myself. And I live in New Hampshire, and I'm doing the best I can, like all of your listeners.
Yeah, right. We're all doing the best we can as moms. That's all we can do.
Right. Every day, just trying to, as I wrote in my college essay, just trying to walk the walk that I talk. I say that because I have my 18-year-old is, 18, is applying to college. So that's just on the brain right now, the college essay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That brings back, I'm starting to sweat thinking about that, although it's been a while.
I know. So, yeah. And I was just at a seminar last night at the high school. So it was reminding me of the college essay. Now there's a thing called the Common App where you fill out one application, unless you're applying to a school like maybe MIT might have its own application, but for the most part, the majority of colleges accept the Common App.
Wow.
And so and everything's online now. So kids can fill out one application and click all of the colleges that they want it sent to, and then just send the fee, the credit card fee to all of the individual schools. And so kids just mostly write one essay that gets submitted to every school. Back in my day, every school application had its own essay.
Yeah.
So,
and we were doing it by hand. Correct.
Or I was actually lucky enough that because my mother was into journalism. I don't know. I don't think she really did anything with it, but she was a journalism major in her day. So she had a really fancy typewriter.
Oh.
We had a really fancy typewriter in my house. And so if you were working on a school assignment and you were really careful, you got to use the typewriter.
Hey, that's some fancy stuff there.
So back in when was I applying to college? When was I filling out those applications? So back in 1992, when I was filling out those applications, if I was really careful, I did not have to handwrite them. I got to insert, you had to do it,
Oh my
line it up
gosh.
really carefully,
The
scroll it
stress.
in. Yep. Line it up. And I know your listeners can't see my hands, but if you could, twist the dials on either side so that it wound itself in evenly and use the typewriter. But anyway, so I remember one of the applications I filled out was pick a favorite quote and explain how it was meaningful to you, or how you could, I don't know, how you were applying it to your life. And anyway, the quote that I chose was, I don't even know who made it famous or who said it, but something about don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. So I'm
I like
coming
it.
full circle to that comment.
So funny. It's
Yep.
so interesting. And it makes you, okay, I'm glad you said this, because when I was in high school, I had to pick like my senior quote for the yearbook. And I like agonized over, a lot of the friends or classmates picked like ridiculous stuff or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember them saying, if you ever think that you want to run for office or hold any public, position whatsoever, like be mindful about this, because people can find this. Not that that was me, but I took it to heart. And I like searched and searched and searched. And I found this quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson that said, do not be too timid or squeamish in your actions. All life is an experiment. And at the time I was like, this sounds good. And you know what? It came back to me as an adult and I was like, holy crap. Like, in the last year, I've realized like I've got to quit playing small. I've been like living my life playing small, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, okay, 17-year-old Shannon, like thank you for that, because here we are.
There you
So,
go.
and then we named our first daughter Emerson, like not related, like not related. Like we liked the name, and I was like, no, he's a cool dude, but like she's not named after him. But it's just so funny, like the wisdom, and I feel like bigger things are at play.
Well, I think that's better than choosing Waldo.
Yeah, I mean that's her middle name, but no. That's funny. Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. I love that. I love that. So,
yeah.
How old are your kids?
So my daughter is 16. She's a junior, and my son just turned 18, and he's a senior. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I know that'll be here before I know it, but what's it like?
It is crazy. It is crazy. Like when they're born or when they're toddlers, and you think like they'll never be that age. They'll never be that age. And then you look at them and you're like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like this kid can vote in the next
election?
Gosh.
Yeah.
And I can send this kid out to go get lottery tickets.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's bonkers. So I mean, he's totally overwhelmed by it. I mean, he has a lot of stuff. Like he has ADHD, and he has massive anxiety. Oh. And so it's a lot for him. I'm sure there's a lot of kids who hit 18 and they're like bang on, like, but bring it. Like I'm I'm an adult, and I don't know, take me up to Canada and bring me to the strip clubs. And
my God.
I don't know. But he's the oldest of his friends, because we held him back in kindergarten. So he turned 18 this summer, going into senior year. So he's 18, starting his senior year of high school. So he's the oldest of his friends. And I think he just feels, I don't know, like not responsible, but just, it's a lot. I think, I mean, we joke that, well, we could kick you out and not have anyone come after us. Like, the cops can't yell at us, like we're not child services can't do anything about it. Like we're allowed to kick you out.
Yeah.
I mean, we joke about it, but
Obviously. Yeah.
obviously, we would never do that. But yeah, like he knows that there are people his age that do live on their own.
Yeah.
That there are people 18 who um, live,
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
that maybe have graduated high school and have chosen to go and get jobs and live on their own, or have entered the military or
Right. Oh, the
yeah,
military piece, especially. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah. And that, maybe they've gotten married and
Yeah.
um so it's like that piece he's aware of. And it's like, but he's so immature because
Okay.
of how he's wired. I think as he's grown up, he's aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
He's in therapy, we're in therapy, and I went to we live in New Hampshire, which is a total blessing when it comes to political season, because we have access to, we're first in the nation. So we get candidates, campaigning and wanting to meet us all the time. So they're here constantly. And so I was at a rally the other day, and I won't get political on the podcast because I know that's so divisive. But one of the things that came up was the topic of mental health, and how it's what's so unfortunate in this country is that no one has a problem saying, Shannon, my dad has cancer.
Right.
Say a prayer. Just keep me in your thoughts.
Yeah.
No one would have an issue saying that to you.
Right.
But how many people would say to you, Shannon, my son's on drugs. Say a prayer.
Yeah.
My kid's back in rehab. Say a prayer for me.
Yeah.
How many people would walk up to you in the grocery store and say that?
Right. Right. You're so right.
The stigma is so huge, and that's so sad.
Yeah.
And so, my son has had so many issues, and we did, we've had a therapist. He's had a therapist since, like almost since he could run. And he's gone to programs. We pulled him out of school, and we've had side eye from our neighbors and friends and his friends. And when we took him out of school, when he was a sophomore, and sent him somewhere out of state, he a friend of his mother responded to me, I can't believe you took his best friend away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like what is my son going to do without his best friend?
Wow.
Right?
How tone deaf from another mother.
I'm so glad you used that term, because my best
Yeah.
friend and I use that term all, because my best friend, her son has autism and high functioning, but he's younger, and so it manifests as a lot of behavioral challenges
Sure.
in the classroom and amongst friends, and so he ends up with a lot of issues socially, and we use that term all the time because other moms just, and it's so sad, other moms just don't get it.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
people who should be our allies.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
This mom who's known my son almost his whole life. You took his best friend away. I took the love of my life out of my home. You think this was easy?
Right. Right.
I don't know what else to do for him. I've tried everything. This was the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can't imagine, first of all. and shame on her, second of all. And it's, like we don't always have to understand people's decisions. They're doing what they believe is in the best, hopefully, they're doing what they believe is in the best interest of their families at the time. And we don't have to understand everything. But what we can do is hold space for them and cut the shit. Like, don't come at me with that nonsense. I can't imagine.
Yeah, just love and support.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
and support. I mean, even the other day, so this friend of mine with the autistic son, her son went to a sleepover and it ended up in some sort of fist fight.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I, don't know what happened. And my friend went to sleep with, she doesn't usually do this, but she took a page out of my book and she went to bed with her phone on Do Not Disturb. Rare day. Which maybe she shouldn't have because her kid was at a sleepover. And so I guess the mom was texting her like 911. And she didn't get the message, didn't get the phone calls until her doorbell rang. And the mom brought her son home.
Ooh.
And so, of course, she woke up to the doorbell.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, why are you bringing my son home? And the mom was like, yep, things went south. Here's your son. And so, of course, she's up all, she put her son to bed, like, we'll deal with this in the morning. And my friend didn't get another, second of sleep. So in the morning, they try to hash it out. And she calls me and she says, what do I do? Do I apologize to the mom who brought him home? What about the other kid? There was a third kid that apparently the mom who brought him home, her kid didn't fight with that kid. That kid was more of an onlooker. Her kid fought with this third kid. So she said, what do I do with that mom? And I said, you know what? If that mom hasn't called you either, I said, I think you just kind of let sleeping dogs lie. Yeah. I don't really, I think you do enough apologizing for your kid. I think maybe you're worried now. She's worried now about what's going to happen at school because these kids are all in class together. So I said, I think your priority is school because she's worried now about round 2 at school. Yeah. So I said, let's focus on school. But I said, the mom that brought the kid home, she's kind of a young, easygoing mom. She doesn't seem bothered by any of it. Yeah. And the other mom hasn't reached out. So screw her. Yeah. Let's focus on school. I said, us moms of I'm using air quotes here, the different kids, the challenged kids, we're always apologizing. We're always explaining. And it's tiring. Yeah. It's like another job. I'm sure. So I said, you know what? Just forget these other moms and your priority is school. I appreciate you shining that light and saying that because these kids are they're just being themselves and like, there's a reason they are the way that they are. At the end of the day, that's what I believe. And they're here to teach us. They were assigned to us, just my personal belief. So apologizing to other adults over our children needs to stop. Especially if you're doing the things that you're doing and you're taking the steps and whatever. If you're letting your kid run wild, like that's a different story. But yeah. I mean, I remember even being at my gym, like I think it's a franchise, but like little play center. Yeah. When my son was 1, just going to the little gym class. And at the end of the class, you're supposed to sit in circle time. The class ends with circle time, and your kid is supposed to sit on your lap for the closing circle. My son was not a sit on the lap, end the class in the circle kind of kid. Yeah. He was so active. I mean, this kid was, he went straight to run. He didn't bother with walk. He didn't bother with
Yeah.
crawl.
Yeah.
As soon as he could get up, he ran. And so, I mean, this was at like 9, 10 months, he was running.
Wow.
And so, and it was adorable. I mean, his, to see the little legs running.
Yeah.
And so all these little babies, all these mushy little things are sitting on their mom's laps for circle time. And he was running around this gym. He was obsessed with balls.
Yeah.
We were a little concerned. Anything that was circular, whether it was a plastic apple or orange from the play kitchen, he was treating it like a ball and like rolling it around and
Yeah.
throwing it and chasing it. And I'm sure everyone there thought he was on the spectrum because he was throwing it, running it, kicking it, chasing it. And, I'm the one sitting by myself in the circle, like whatever, blowing bubbles, singing songs, and, but like trying to play with the other moms because my son is off, like going down the slide, chasing the,
Yeah.
circular food items because he's not in circle time.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's like 10 months old. And again, and I'm feeling uncomfortable as the mom of a toddler.
Yeah.
It started as early as then. And, here I am 17 plus years later. And it's just, I just wish, my wish for humanity is for moms to be a little more accepting of differences. And I guess I'm like on a soapbox here. I had
no, do it.
I have another mom friend who her son was, he was a handful when he was a toddler. He got kicked out, asked to leave several preschools. And so she was all out of sorts. And we're Jewish. And so here we are. She'd gotten kicked out of the Jewish preschool, all of the other community preschools. And so she's like left with nothing but the Christian preschool in the community. And so she said, I've got nowhere else to go. Yeah. So she goes to the Christian preschool and she says to them, I'm going to be honest with you, he's gotten kicked out of, 3 preschools at this point. He's only 3 and a half. And the woman, the preschool director said, bring him in. We accept all God's children here.
Oh,
I know.
It's making me cry.
Right. And here I am, this kid, he's a little older than my son. So I think he's in college now, this kid. And I remember this story and it's like, that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
We accept all God's children.
Yeah.
Why don't we all?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not a religious woman here, but we're all God's children.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all made the way we're made.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not talking about like the ones who shoot up schools and stuff. I mean,
of course.
But we need to help them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to help them before they do that.
I know, but maybe if there's a little more love and compassion and space for them.
And if we saw the warning signs.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there were some.
Yeah. We all just had a little bit more love and compassion. And again, especially for children, like especially for the freaking kids, Yeah. 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 So with your experience, what advice would you give to a mom who's maybe, earlier in the years with their kids and are, kind of navigating this space of having a kid who is maybe showing up a little differently than a quote unquote, I hate saying normal, but you know what I mean? Like picture perfect child.
Well, first of all, look in the mirror and say nice things to yourself. Second, if possible, make some space for yourself. If you can, if you can get a little bit of time for yourself, even if it's just a 10-minute walk around the block. If you can get that 10 minutes, maybe with a compassionate friend, if you can get a little more than 10 minutes, even better. If you can go out for coffee with that friend, some people call that self-care. But really just some time away from the chaos, because it can get very consuming. It can become like quicksand.
Yeah.
And you can find yourself just in that quicksand of just troubleshooting and wanting, you can get into the black hole of Google and how do I fix the problem and get to the library and just trying to problem solve. But if you can try to get out of it for a few minutes a day and not try to solve all the problems. So just like, they'll still be there. Like it not to sound like Debbie Downer, like it's your life. Like, it's your life. There are, going back to that stigma, really trying to destigmatize finding your people. If your people is one people.
Yeah.
I told my 16-year-old the other day, we were talking about friends, and I said, you're a teenager, and I get it that you're at the age where it's kind of quantity over quality. Because that's high school, and it's no one wants to look like they only have one friend.
Yeah.
But when you get to my age, it's quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have two friends who would walk through fire for me.
Yeah.
So if you can find the one or two friends who get it, and it, so it might mean, if you have a challenging kid, get the therapist, get the behaviorist, and when you're there, you might find another mom in the waiting room.
Yeah.
And you give each other that look, the I get it look.
Yeah.
She could become your person.
Yeah.
In that moment. And that's all you need.
Yeah. I have my best friend from middle school, and she's my one. And she had a daughter that unfortunately passed as an infant, but she was very, very sick. And, and I talking about it now, she was on my podcast earlier, but she was like, get in the groups of whatever, like on Facebook, of whatever diagnosis your child has, because there's somebody already who's been through it, and they are there and ready to receive you. And even if it's a virtual friendship, some of these people she never went on to actually meet, but it was just someone else being in the same space, same phase of life. I get you. I see you. It's scary, Yeah. Sometimes you have to search for your people, but I think finding them makes all the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Because it can get overwhelming when you go to school pickup in your community, or you go to the grocery store and you feel like no one understands. Yeah. They're all there in their skinny jeans and their manicures, and they don't get it.
And that's okay. They don't need to be your people then.
Yeah. But they're someone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so important. Yeah. The connection piece is huge. And then you're not trying to compare your child to this child over here who is not your child, Yeah. That's good advice. What didn't you expect motherhood to change or shake up in you?
My body. No.
I know, right?
Yeah. I mean, you just don't realize that your schedule will never be your own again. I mean, it sounds so Debbie Downer. Like your whole life will never be the same. Your schedule, your body, your routine, your nothing's ever going to be your own. But that's okay. I mean, that's it's so silly. I mean, even yesterday, my schedule was jam-packed. I had like a not even 45 minute, it was probably 35 minutes of downtime in between ending a Zoom and needing to be at the hairdresser's.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not call covering my gray luxury or self-care. That to me is an essential.
Yep.
It's not. I mean, when I see pictures, I saw a picture of myself from this political thing I went to because my daughter and I took a picture with this particular candidate and we saw him 8 years ago. So it's just really funny that we have a picture from then and now.
Yeah.
So she was 8 versus 16.
Yeah.
So it's just really cute to see us with him then versus us with him now.
Yeah.
And how much she's changed. I feel like I look the same personally, but to see how much she and the candidate have changed in 8 years is really funny.
Yeah.
But I had this patch of gray hair. I go gray in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Three weeks is really how I gray. So when it's 4 weeks,
you're pushing
I'm like Barbara Bush. It's like it is bad.
Yeah.
And that's when it was for this picture. And I saw the picture and I was like, good God, it's like a Halloween picture. And so anyway, so I had like 35 minutes yesterday between the end of a Zoom and when I needed to be in my hairdresser's chair. And my son is like, where's my sandwich? Because the school, and I mentioned he's 18, right?
Yeah.
It never ends. So the problem is, even though it's mid-September and I'm in New Hampshire, your listeners around the country might think that I'm in the Arctic up here. No, it's still like 95 degrees here in the school building. We're not air conditioned. Our buildings are not air conditioned. So it's like 95 degrees in the school building. So my kid, and they don't buy lunch. So my kids are like, I can't, or he says he cannot bring anything. If he brings, like a power bar, protein bar, it'll melt. If he brings a sandwich, it'll be rotten.
Gross.
So he's like, you got to bring me something. So I'm like, for the love of God. So I grab some deli stuff, which I don't eat because I'm vegan, but I still buy it. So I grabbed the deli stuff from the fridge. And then, of course, we're out of bread because he decided to make himself a sandwich at like 11 p.m. the night before and used up all the bread.
And didn't tell anybody.
Right. So I go to get the bread. There's no bread. So now I need to drive to Trader Joe's, which, by the way, is on the way to my hairdresser, not the way to the high school.
Of course.
Right. To get the bread that he likes. So I go to Trader Joe's, walk in just to buy the loaf of bread. They're like, is that all? Yeah, that's all. So I get the loaf of bread, go out to the car, I tell him, I'm like, I'm just going to bring you all of the ingredients. And he's like, what? And I'm supposed to make a sandwich in the middle of class? Yeah. He's like, no, that won't work. So I'm in the Trader Joe's parking lot making the sandwich.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Wrap it all up, drive it to the high school, wrapped up, put his name on it, leave it at the office. And of course, they're looking at me like, are you for real? Yep, I'm for real. Get back in the car. I used up all the meat, the leftover cheese, threw away because I'm like, this is gross anyway.
Yeah.
Throw that away and proceed with my loaf of bread in the passenger seat, tucked away with the seatbelt. And I go on to the hairdresser and I was only 3 minutes late. And I'm like, the things I do for you. And I text him and I'm like, Highness, it's in the office. Do I get more than a thank you? Can I at least get a thank you very much?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Are you satisfied? Like,
right.
Does this warrant a hug when you get home from school?
Oh my gosh.
Anything? Yeah. So how does motherhood change my life that I didn't expect? That.
Right.
That.
You just wanted to go get your hair done.
Yeah.
And like you said, not even a luxury. Like, this is maintenance. Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't expect to fill those 35 minutes by beelining it to Trader Joe's and then off to the high school. And then,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that I could be running into the hairdresser with sweat pouring down my face. And yeah.
I hate that. I hate being late. So when things like that happen to me and I finally sit down, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Panting. Yep.
Like, I'm gonna need a minute.
Right. Right. I thought maybe that 35 minutes between Zoom and hair would be like, refilling my cup of coffee,
Yeah.
checking my Instagram feed.
Yeah.
No,
No, none of that for you. Sorry. Oh my
nope.
gosh. On the same thread, I have to say this because it was so frustrating. And I know daycare daycare workers do not get paid enough. I recognize that our daycare workers are saints. I don't have an issue with them. However,
Yeah.
on Wednesday, I had an afternoon of meetings scheduled. Um, and I get a phone call from daycare at about 11 a.m. and they're like, she has a rash. I'm like, yeah, she has eczema. She's had it all summer. I'm not sure why you guys are just now noticing it. She's got sensitive skin. She had a bath last night. We can't bathe her every night because her skin just like gets all red and angry. I said she had a bath last night, so it's probably more flared up. We just treat it with Aquaphor and then it calms down. And she said, well, I had to talk to the director. She doesn't want her to be here if she's worried that it's communicable. And I was like, okay. As I'm telling you, it's just eczema. I'm also like, why didn't you notice this all summer when she's been wearing shorts?
Right.
And today when she's wearing pants, suddenly you notice she was changing her diaper. But that's besides the point. I had a phone call a few minutes later. Yeah, you got to come get her. Okay. And she can't come back until she has a doctor's note clearing it. And I'm like, do you understand what you're at? Like, I know you're 19. Like, I'm not mad at you, but like, do we understand the gravity of the ask? You're telling me that I know now don't have childcare until I can get her into the doctor and get a note and then send her back. And I'm just like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? So like whole afternoon imploded. Like thankfully we're in like a network of doctors. So like if her pediatrician isn't available, she can go to any of the offices in the
Thank
network. And
God.
I found somebody that had an opening that afternoon. Sure enough, he was like, that's eczema. That's nothing. Here's your
Mhm.
note, and they were like, send her back today. I'm like, well, it's,
Right. You're like,
I'm like, it's 3:30. I'm not going to be that, but I'm like,
but
this
you
is
want
not
to take
how I
a
planned.
screenshot of it and be like, here's my note.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just like, this is not how I saw my day going at all. Like had to cancel all my meetings and like, granted, everyone was gracious and wonderful. But like you said, like you think you're going to do one thing
Oh,
and then you get the phone call or you get the text or you get the whatever. And it's like, okay, here we are. Here we are.
mm,
My day is not actually my own.
no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It's fine now. And she's back. She was back the next day, but I'm just, yes, if it's not one thing, it's something else. So you're so right. Your schedule is not yours. Anyway, so yes, I resonate with that on a different level, but good to know that it continues. Like I'll never get away from it.
I know. I know. Yep. Lice is a fun one too.
Oh, we haven't had that one yet. Knock on wood.
Well,
Mm,
you
mm.
heard it here first.
Can't wait.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
yeah. I mean, if you can get through without it, then Godspeed.
Yeah. Yikes. Oh,
I know.
I get
Do you
like
have
creepy crawly just thinking
Oh,
about
I
it.
know. Do you have
Yeah.
just girls
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
And they're born bald and then they end up with lots and lots of hair. So
I know.
that'll be great when that
Well,
happens.
now, I mean, I think they have those lice removal centers
Mm.
are much more common now.
Okay. I'll have to look into that.
Look, yeah, if you ever
Yeah.
encounter that's another,
Hmm.
expert tip.
Okay.
If you do, for your listeners as well, if you
Yes.
ever encounter um, the invasion of lice, look up like a professional lice, it's money well spent, a
Oh
lice
my gosh.
removal center, they're basically I don't know, it's like a hairdresser. I don't know if they're hairdressers, but um, it's like a hairdresser chair. And they're obviously not places you really make an appointment because you
Yeah.
go by emergency
Yeah.
because you don't plan to have lice.
Right.
Um, it's like you go when you're told to pick up your kid from school.
Yeah.
Um, you get the call like, come now. You'd go to an office or a whatever, sort of
Yeah.
like a retail location. And yeah, we went somewhere and it was yeah, it was basically like a snippets, like a hairdresser chair. They made us watch a movie
Oh my
on
gosh.
on, how lice is contracted or spread, disgusting. And then they did the whole comb out for us, and then sent us home with instructions for how. The crazy thing was, I think my daughter was 5 or 6. And so her hair's a little less curly. So it's more like yours, than mine. Mine is like super tight.
Yeah.
But and yours might be like mine normally.
Just the baby hairs underneath, but yeah,
okay.
Mine's a little more wavy. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had to do it. Anyway, sent us home with a whole folder with like a calendar
Oh my gosh.
paper. And it was basically do the comb out with these instructions. I forget if it was like every day, every other day.
Oh my gosh.
For the first week or 2, and then each week for this many weeks, and then once a month, I think, pretty much for the rest of her life until the age of, I think it was like 14.
Are you joking?
And the reason being, because kids do not understand personal space, because they'll go right up next to another head to look at what's on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. And they will do that until they're like 14 or 15. They do not understand. Or at sleepovers, they'll be like right up next. Yep.
Yeah.
And so she said, that's the problem.
Wow.
And so we did it. I mean, we didn't go till 14, but we did it probably until like 10.
Wow.
We did these mother effing comb outs.
And the thing is with the curly hair, if you don't know, if you're listening, it's a whole thing with curly hair. You're not just brushing through it like.
Oh yeah, if she had like a Dorothy Hamill bob or pixie or whatever you call, no problem. We'd be in and out in 5 minutes.
Right.
Oh no, this was a full on, like, we put on a movie. We'd have Finding Nemo on, and we'd be an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh.
We'd get through the whole movie. Yeah. We'd
Think
get
of your
3
hours.
shows. Yep. 3 shows on Disney Channel. Yep.
Wow. Well, I'm itching after that. So
I know. Sorry.
Good advice though. And I like that there's a place where you can have them do the comb out, like before you go into your own home, with the
money well spent.
Fascinating. I didn't know where this conversation was going to go today, but this is very insightful. This is very insightful.
Yep.
Before I let you run away, can you share how you reconnect to yourself and motherhood with all of the things going on?
Oh, well, being certified breathwork, I breathe as often as I can. I have 2 dogs that I have to walk all the time. So I get out in the woods. I will talk to the woods. I will breathe. I really just try, I just try to connect with my breath, in nature, slowing down my breath, because we tend to clench, and when we don't focus on our breath, we will either like hold our breath or like shallow breathe, or so when I get out in nature, I will just try to just slow it down, and really just try to tune out the noise, the actual noise, the obvious noise, but the voices in our heads that tell us we're doing everything wrong. The voices that we allow to tell us that we're effing up in every which way. So like the mom that says, I can't believe you took your son away from my son. And then I'll spiral out thinking, did I do the wrong thing? Did I really? That I can finally focus on my breath and tune that out, and connect with myself and say, Jenny, you did everything you could. You tried everything.
Yeah.
You're doing the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing the best you can. You're loving your children every which way you know how. And just know that. Just breathe into that. Connect with your
Mm-hmm.
heart. Connect with your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Feel it in your body. Connect with your truth.
Yeah.
Forget all the noise. Forget the haters. Forget all those voices, because the one that's inside you is the only one that matters.
You know, I hear a lot of very similar, women that are on the same wavelength as we are, and they're all saying very similar things, whether it be meditation or going outside or whatever, and just taking the few moments to reconnect with yourself. And it's just the matter of a few minutes, and it can shift everything. So I really hope that people are hearing this, and maybe they have to hear it 15 times before it sinks in, but it can make such a huge difference, because I think we can all find 10 or 15 minutes. If we're really honest with ourselves, we can find 10 or 15 minutes to do what you're sharing here, or what another guest may share about how they reconnect to themselves. And it's so important. So important. Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
sometimes it's screaming. Sometimes it's violent. Sometimes it's screaming at the haters first. It's raging out at the getting out the how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you question what I've done?
Yeah.
How dare you question my motives and my choices? You don't know me.
Right. Yeah.
And getting out a few FUs and then settling.
Yes.
And then settling into my truth.
I love that you said that, because I know it can be hard to imagine the jump from like, I am really mad right now, to, oh, I'm going to find peace in a few minutes. And yeah, there is sometimes a block there that needs to come out. I've definitely screamed in my car a few times when, driving down the road, and you feel a little feral for a minute, and then you can move forward.
Yeah. Because you can feel it in your shoulders, because if you're tense, like you gotta like, it's like ripping dough, or like, it's like you gotta like rip something first, and then like, okay, now we're gonna soften it.
Yeah. So good. I'm glad you said that. You're the first person that has mentioned, if you need to get angry first, get angry. Yeah. We want to imagine that soft side of us, but sometimes we have to release some stuff first.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. How can people find you? Where can they find you, or how can they work with you?
Okay. Well, thank you for asking. So I'm Jenny, and that's with a J. So my website, my Instagram, my Facebook is all Jentle Coaching. So that's with a J, like Jenny. So Jentle Coaching, Jentle Coaching. So I'm on Instagram the majority of the time. Try to keep my website up to date, but it's sometimes the last to go.
Yeah.
But so I do breathwork, life coaching, and I am launching a podcast soon, but it's coming. So it'll be all of that will be updated on Instagram. So just
awesome.
Stay with me on Instagram, Jentle Coaching.
Yeah. We'll put all that in the show notes as well. So awesome. Yeah. You guys go follow Jenny and see what other juiciness she's got to share. And I appreciate you so much sharing your story and being vulnerable with us, because I know somebody needed to hear it today.
Oh, thank you. And I just hope it helps, because we're a tribe together, we moms.
Yes. Yeah. We got to stick together. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon.
Jenny, thank you again for sharing your journey and your wisdom. Here are this week's key takeaways. 1, other moms can be our biggest opponents when they could be our allies. Just hold space, love, and support others. Collectively, We moms can learn to be a little more accepting of others' differences. We're all made the way we're made after all. 2, moms of the, quote, different kids are always apologizing and explaining on behalf of their children, and it's draining. If this is you, it's time to set it down and make some space for yourself. Even just a 10-minute walk around the block or a phone call with a compassionate friend to give yourself some time away from the chaos. 3, when your child is experiencing challenges, you can fall into a black hole of troubleshooting and trying to problem solve. You don't need to try to solve all of the problems today. The issues will still be there tomorrow, but take time for yourself today and every day. 4, find your people, even if it's just one person who gets it. And 5, learn to tune out the noise and the voices that tell you you're doing everything wrong. You're doing the best you can. Connect with your truth. Forget all the noise, all the haters, all those voices. The voice inside of you is the only one that matters. All of Jenny's links are available in the show notes, so be sure to give her a follow and check out her podcast. Speaking of podcasts, if you love what's going on over here, please be sure to follow or subscribe and share with a friend if you love what's going on here. We'd love to get the word out so that more mothers can feel connected and less isolated on their journeys in motherhood. Also, if you haven't yet grabbed my 18-page maternity leave planning guide, you're going to want to do that soon. You may already have a maternity leave under your belt, but this will offer some tools to do the next one a bit differently and a more aligned way to honor your needs. If you are past this stage, please feel free to pass it along to someone who is entering this new phase of life. It's my gift to you, absolutely free, and the link is available in the show notes. Until we meet again, come hang out with me on socials at Having a Mom Moment on Instagram and also on Facebook. And as this podcast is just for us moms and mamas to be, drop me a DM or email me at havingamommoment@gmail.com if there's something you'd like to hear about on a future episode. Again, if you like what you're hearing, please follow, subscribe, leave a review. In case someone has told you today, you're amazing, you are loved, and I am so proud of the beautiful mama that you are. Have a great day.